Pleased to be joined on the call by the head coach at Monmouth, Kevin Callahan. Good morning, Coach Cal.
Good morning, Rob. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I hope you are too. 2-0 start with back-to-back road wins for the first time since 2016 after a 49-28 win at Fordham on Saturday. What did you like about the way your guys played?
Well, I like the fact that we came out of the game 2-0. I think as you drill down and you look at it, one of the things that jumps out is we have to start faster as a team. For the second week in a row, we had a slow start that created a hole that we had to climb out of. And I credit our team for having that resiliency and doing just that. The first series on offense, we go 3 and out. The second series, we throw an interception deep in our own territory. But you have to credit our team for the way they fought back. And I think as the game unfolded, they scored on 3 of the first 4 possessions, and then in the next 9, they only had 1 score. Offensively, after our first 2 series, we settled down and we scored on the next 6 series consecutively. So I think that, we have to be able to start faster. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's what we're eating in a pregame meal. I have no idea what it is, but we've got to start faster, offensively, Derek Robertson, the CAA Offensive Player of the Week this week again, had another great day, 30 for 44 for 364 yards, I guess it was. So right around 70%. We had another big day from our running back, Rodney Nelson, who went over 100 yards for the second consecutive day. And Josh Derry stepped up at the receiver position with 10 receptions. So, a lot of great playmakers doing really good things on that side of the ball. And what was really nice to see on the defensive side, some new faces jump up. Josiah Graham, one of our defensive ends, is involved in 3.5 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. Ryan Russo was in on 8 tackles, but if you look at his stat line, 1 sack, 2 TFLs, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, an extremely productive day. And as a unit, that the defensive side came up with, I think it was 6 sacks and 9 tackles for loss on the day. So they're starting to get to where they should be, and we're starting to have some production from that unit. And then you look at our special teams, and Makai Green gives us a great shot in the arm there. He had 3 kickoff returns for 130 some yards, 45-yard average or something like that. So I think we're starting to gel as a team, but we're going to be tested this week down at Charlotte.
Let's actually start with that defense. Second week in a row where it's a little bit of a tough start, but then as you said, 9 3-and-outs or whatever the number was come in. And we talked about the same thing last week where they had the second half where they got all those stops.
Right.
Has it been adjustments, or I know you're trying to figure out the slow start, but what has been the adjustment?
Well, I think Rob, as I look at it, I think it's a combination of things. I think, one, we have a lot of new faces on that side of the ball. And, we seem to be susceptible to not only the slow start, but giving up some big plays, which contribute to that slow start. So if we can eliminate the big plays against that particularly happen early on, maybe we're playing too tentative. Maybe we're coaching them too cautiously. I don't know what it is, but that's what I have to figure out. I mean, I think if we can start faster on that side of the ball, we can breathe a little bit easier as these games go on, not have to wait to the second half to do that.
And as you said, 5 sacks in the game, that's got to make you happy. Then putting that pressure on opposing quarterbacks has to be a big part of the game plan.
Yeah, we did a good job getting up the field. And one of the great things about, playing with an offense that we have here at Monmouth is they can score at any time. And when we get up on somebody, the opponent feels that they almost have to throw the ball to keep up with us. And so that opens up the opportunities to get more sacks. We can turn our guys loose a little bit more. They can play a little bit more freely because they know that the other team has to throw the ball to keep up with us.
As you said, Derek had the early interception, but for the second week in a row, didn't seem to phase him at all. 7 touchdowns total in the game, leading the country in every offensive passing, total offense, passing touchdowns. Do you ever get surprised at this point at anything that he's able to do?
Not at all. I mean, I think that the great thing about Derek, he has great resiliency. We saw a week ago when we were up at Colgate, he throws 4 interceptions in the first half, comes back and has what you would think is a career day. And then this week in the second possession, throws an interception deep in the red zone, and then comes back and has a day where he scores 6 touchdowns. And so, I mean, he's just a tremendous leader. He's a tremendous role model for the younger guys in our offense to look up to. And he has such a calmness in his demeanor and a confidence, a quiet confidence that just makes him an exceptional leader.
Talked a little bit last week about the fleet of talented receivers you have and how it's maybe a different guy every game. This on Saturday was Josh Jerry, 10 catches, 4 touchdowns, 144 yards. Just talk about the night that he had.
Well, I think he had an exceptional night and had a number of big plays, along of like 65, 67 yards or something like that. But when you have that a group of talented receivers like we think we have, it makes us difficult to defend. Last week it was Gavin Nelson. This week Josh Derry, PJ Spate has the ability to break games open, and we haven't really felt even Max James yet and Trey Neal, 2 other guys who have exceptional ability. So we have 5 guys that we think we can play on a regular basis, and they're all interchangeable parts. They all can play each other's positions, and so I think that makes us even more difficult to defend.
As you touched on Rodney a second ago, second week in a row, he's over 100 yards and 24 carries. Everybody thinks, maybe you're throwing it every down, but it's not the case. 24 runs. How valuable is it to have him to kind of mix things up and not let people turn their ears back and come after Derek?
Well, it's extremely valuable. And when you look at him, he doesn't have the stature where you're going to say, oh boy, he's probably 170 pounds. He's probably 5'8", maybe at the most. And so he's not that imposing physically when you look at him, but he does have tremendous speed. He's got excellent vision, and he has the ability to bounce off tackles. It's hard to put a good solid lick on him. And I think when guys go in and they see, oh, there's a smallish body that I can knock down, that's not the case. He's going to bounce off that, and he's going to continue to churn out positive yards. As a matter of fact, Saturday, I think for the second week in a row, and I'm not 100% on this, he did not have a yard for loss. Everything he gained, every time he touched the ball, he got positive yardage. And that's something that we keep in mind as well.
Let's look ahead to Saturday. Your team heads to Charlotte as the road tour continues, 3 in a row here. They're coming off a 20-3 loss against North Carolina. As you've started to study them, what are the challenges that they present for your team?
Well, obviously, it's an FBS opponent. And when you play an FBS opponent, they have the advantage of having not only more scholarships that you do, but, I think, potentially higher level of talent than you do. But they're coming into this week 0-2. They haven't won a game yet. And so they don't have that taste of victory. They lost the first week to Appalachian State, 11-30. They lost this past weekend to North Carolina, 3-20. It's a new staff, and it's really a new team. So you cannot go by anything they've done in previous seasons. You look at the roster, I think there's 75 or 80 brand new faces playing at Charlotte for their first year. But I do know they have a very talented quarterback, a North Carolina transfer, who's thrown for just under 60% completions. They have a wide receiver who transferred in from LSU who had 11 catches last week against UNC. And probably the stalwart in their offense and the key to their offensive line is their center. He's a preseason all-conference selection. He's been a guy that's been a 3-year starter for him. He's a very, very talented player. And when you look at the other side, again, it's the same scenario. You've got a linebacker who's been very productive in number 35. I think he came in from Ohio University. They've got the leader on the back end is one of their own guys, number 6. He's a great playmaker, has very good size, very good speed. And then in the defensive line, they've got a transfer from FIU who's very active. He was in 9 or 10 tackles in the North Carolina game. So it's a team that we don't know a lot about. It's a team that's still trying to, I think, create their identity with a new staff and a complete roster turnover. And they're probably looking at Monmouth and FCS team is the week that's going to do all those things for them. So we've got to make sure that we're up for the challenge of playing an FBS opponent. We're on the road, as you said, for the 3rd consecutive week, so that has its own challenges. We just got to make sure that we're ready to go.
I was just asking Rick just a second ago. I know you were on, but you guys had the experience of winning an FBS game last year down at FIU. What's the key and the message to your guys when you go into those type of games to try to pull the upset?
Well, the thing you got to believe is that it can happen, but you still have to go in and you've got to play sound football. You can't be afraid to lose, and you can't be afraid to play. Oh, they're this FBS team. We've got to go out and play Monmouth football the way we know how to play it. And I think when you look at a year ago, that's exactly what we did. We got into a high-scoring back-and-forth affair, and we're able to make some plays at the end to pull it out. I think that when you play a team like this, as in any game, You've got to keep it a game into the fourth quarter. And if you keep it a game into the fourth quarter, then anything can happen. And as long as your team has confidence, as long as they believe that it can happen, you've got a chance.
All right, Coach Cal, thanks so much for the time here this morning. Good luck on Saturday down in Charlotte, and we'll talk again next Monday.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thank you.